show you the code that I gave you yesterday. I just corrected the errors of what I gave you, and I wanted to show you that it definitely does work, and that this, that I did that this is what it is. So going to the top here, I renamed the variables instead of input month to just month, and instead of input day to just day, and then I used that structure I told you about, which is the dictionary structure, and then I set a variable called season to an empty string, and then I use each one of these conditionals in the if statement to check for the season. So in this one, it's saying, based on that we know that March 20th is like the start of a spring, so I'm checking that the month is March and the day is greater than 20. And then I check the other potentials because any valid day in April or May meets that will also be spring, and then any day in June prior to or equal to June 20th will also be spring. And I do that same logic for the rest of the seasons, and then I combine that last thing to be one conditional. This is just kind of to prove to you more or less that you can have complex conditionals, and these are not even that complex. I mean, these are the limit of the complexity that you would ever want in a conditional statement like this, just because it gets hard to read, and you don't like, and having code that's easy to read is legitimately important. So, in this last thing here, I'm saying if month is not in the calendar, or this statement. So if the month is not in the calendar, then we know it must be invalid. It won't even continue on past the or here. It'll see that it's an or and be like, oh, okay, well then if the month is not in the calendar, it's just invalid. And then this says, whenever I'm reading something that has a negation, which means like not at the beginning of it, I just read what's inside the paren first and figure out what it's doing. And so in this case, it's saying if day is greater than 0 and less than the number of days in the month. So if if day is valid for this month, it would be valid, but I'm saying it's not within these parameters, so it would be invalid. If the days of the month is not in the correct number of days in the month, then it's invalid. So this is saying if this or this, and okay, so I'm going to prove it to you now that this works. So I'm just going to run this program. I'm going to give it some bad month and then a number like 44, and it's going to give me invalid. I'll run it again and give it April and then 14th, 13th, and it gives me spring. And I'll run it again, and I'll give it December. That's not spelled right. December and let's say 29th. And it says winter. And if I go back and I say, let's try one of the edge cases. I say September, like, and then give it 31 or something. That's going to say invalid because there's not 31 days in September. And if we go up here, we can see, look, September has 30 days in this. So that's basically what I wanted to show you, man.